Item number 21, motion 10 regarding the National Cultural Institution. I'd like to welcome Minister Deenihan into the House. And I call on Senator Fiach Conghail to move this motion. He has 10 minutes, and I'll be then calling on Senator Jillian van Turnhout to second the motion, and she has 6 minutes. And all others, I think, have 6 minutes. So, Senator McConneil, right.
And I'd like to welcome the Minister to the Seanad this afternoon to debate our motion as proposed by the group of independent senators. It is a timely debate and one, Minister, and I'm here to support you and the government in highlighting how to enhance, protect and sustain the role of culture, and in particular the national cultural institutions in our republic. Therefore, I'm proposing our group's motion, and Senator van Turnhout will be seconding it. Before I continue, there are a couple of things which I would like to place on the record in advance of this debate. I am Director of Ireland's National Theatre, the Abbey Theatre, which is one of Ireland's national cultural institutions. When the Taoiseach appointed me to the Seanad a little over a year ago, I knew that my public role as Director of the Abbey Theatre, my private role as a citizen and my role as a Senator would add to the challenges and the opportunities that I would have in contributing to the debate and the public policy remit of the Seanad. The reason this motion has become before the House is that I contend that there has been no meaningful public consultation. There is no other reason. National cultural institutions belong to the Republic, and its citizens have a right, which has been denied to them, to have an important reform process discussed in the public. With this motion, I could have stayed quiet and not said anything. The funding for the Abbey Theatre comes from the Arts Council and also the Department of Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht. I want to put on the record of the House that my relationship with both the Minister and his department has been always cordial, professional, supportive and beneficial to the arts in Ireland. The Taoiseach has empowered me to speak on issues that I care about and issues that I know about. The issue in this motion contains both of those aspects. I have heard with some disquiet that there has been concerns about my contribution to this debate. I want to state publicly, and to this House that I take my position as Director of the National Theatre extremely seriously, and I am totally committed to it. But I also have the right and the responsibility as a citizen and as a Senator to engage in a debate about which I feel passionately. It is with some personal disquiet that in the Minister's speech in the Dáil last night, that the only national cultural institution he signalled out specifically about funding was the Abbey Theatre. For the record again, the Abbey Theatre receives €7.1 million a year from another national cultural institution, the Arts Council. We've also received a grant from your department, Minister, this year for the removal of the asbestos and for capital costs. I'm indebted to you, and on behalf of the board of the Abbey Theatre, I thank you for that. Minister, I'm here to support your vision and work programme as Minister for the Arts in this Republic. We are in difficult financial times, but just as equally, our approach to all sectors of society needs to be carefully considered and judged before we look at dismantling or restructuring the way we work. I wholeheartedly applaud and thank you on behalf of the arts community and the public who have access to the arts and the funding you managed to achieve. Only a 3% cut is a remarkable political result, and I thank you for that. I actually believe that there is a need for a larger debate on governance and policy of the whole arts sector. Indeed, maybe a green paper, perhaps that would discuss the opportunities and challenges facing the arts in the 21st century. Minister, you have responsibility, and you're 16 months in the job, and we have yet to hear your vision on how we should embrace and use and support our artists in this Republic in this new era. In the programme for government, it is clearly set out that your department would take a lead role in making strategic policy formulation the primary function of your department, with line agencies and bodies responsible for policy implementation. Unquote. When you examine your own department's strategy statement arising out of the programme of the government commitment, it says that the mandate is to foster, promote and support Ireland's world-class artistic and cultural strength at home and abroad. Unquote. In order to achieve the strategic formulation goal, there is one thing you require is an arts policy unit with dedicated research staff who can commission and analyse data, surveys and research material. As a founding member and a proud supporter of the National Campaign for the Arts, one of the emerging aspects of our research work is that there is a lack of continuous data on the level of cultural participation, cultural consumption patterns and barriers to increased participation. Yes, arts and culture supports tourism, creates jobs and enhanced reputation, but how do we measure the role of the arts and culture in our citizens' lives? Do we know on a regular basis how many of our citizens engage or have access to the arts, and is there a better way for us to inform policy for the arts? I notice on the Department's website that there is very little data and research available to us on these issues. We need to go beyond the economic, Minister, beyond the consumer, beyond the marketplace, and to accept the public value of the arts, to accept the role of the citizen and to accept the role of the arts in our society. I'm happy to volunteer to support you in this, Minister, as is Senator Mary-Louise O'Donnell, who couldn't attend this afternoon. Minister, you are part of a government that agreed on the public sector reform plan last November. You also have all of Ireland's cultural heritage and institutions available to you within your remit. It was a lost opportunity for you between November and now not to address the economic challenge as a way to debate in public and to consult in public how these institutions could react, change and develop under the public sector reform plan. It was a lost opportunity for you, Minister, not to take a lead in this so that citizens and the taxpayer could contribute to this debate. This was done in other government departments quite efficiently. The reason we are independent senators moving this motion is because your department's actions will have adverse impact on the quality and rigour of the output of these institutions, which will ultimately have an impact on audiences. No board, no cultural institution is above review. No board and no cultural institution is above examination with regards to the efficiencies of service delivered to the public. That includes all cultural institutions listed in today's motion. No board and no cultural institution is above the delivery on the efficiencies and shared services that will give better value to the taxpayer. A review is good, providing it's open, transparent, meaningful and complete. Minister, have you commissioned any cost-benefit analysis or have you seen any reports on the potential savings of these proposed mergers or amalgamations? You have stressed, Minister, the need for reform and review. All organisations are open to that, but international precedents show repeatedly that a well-structured, efficient board is an essential part of the organisation managing and achieving significant reform. Ireland does not have a good history of effective board governance. We need to just look at our banks. And this is an opportunity to address this in a positive way, to look at the full potential that a board can play, not just in fundraising, but supporting organisations to meet current challenges and merge a process of reform. Tomorrow, your Cabinet colleague and Minister for the Environment, Phil Hogan, will launch a new government code of governance to charitable and voluntary organisations. Central to that code is that all organisations have a board to comply with governance codes. In your contribution to the debate in the Dáil last night, you stated that your commitment to the independence of the cultural and programming aspects of the institutions. But I do contend that that doesn't go far enough, Minister. The independence you look for is achieved by an independent board. I know that as Director of the Abbey Theatre, and I knew that as Director of the Project Arts Centre. This is the reassurance we are looking for in our motion today. The Government's amendment to our motion does not guarantee to the House that you won't repeal or seek amendments to the National Cultural Institution Act of 1997. Culture Ireland has been one of the success stories in the arts over the last 5 years. It has a body that worked tirelessly and imaginatively to support the culture and the government in enhancing Ireland's reputation recovery abroad. And this is also acknowledged in the government's amendment to this motion. This is a body which had a board and a director and worked well within your department. But it was bypassed recently when you appointed without competition a director of this body. Perhaps the board of Culture Ireland rubber stamped this, but we have no public comment from them. But there is now an impression, Minister, which is one I know is not your intention, that the arm's length principle of Culture Ireland is well and truly broken. In our motion this afternoon, I call on you to publicly advertise the position of Director of the National Archives, Director of Culture Ireland and Director of the National Museum of Ireland. In finishing up with I don't think that the government amendment goes far enough in this particular regard. The only way to support programming independence is through good governance, and that means independent boards who appoint independent directors. This in turn will support the work of artists, archivists and citizens who benefit from it. It is on this basis that I continue to propose our motion.